Now that we've gone through all the bone formation, we've gone through the fracture of the bones being broken, probably would help out to figure out what makes for healthy bones in the first place. So we can make sure when we go through the ossification, they're healthy, and then prevent fractures or breaks if possible. So first thing to think about is protein. Collagen is going to be a hugely important part of your bones because collagen is strong and it's a great fiber for strength. It gives a little bit of flexibility to your bones. You're saying flexibility, bones. Your bones aren't going to bend, but they do have a little bit of give back and forth. It helps to offset the crystalline structure of all the calcium, of all the hydroxyapatite. So by having the strength of the calcified matrix and the collagen, the protein, gives it strength and a little bit of flexibility. So if the bone gets bumped, it doesn't simply just shatter. Then we have a whole bunch of vitamins to go through. Vitamin A, that one's dealing more with osteoclasts, the stimulation and the inhibition of osteoclasts. Should they be working more or should they slow down a little bit so they're not breaking down too much bone? Vitamin C, you might have heard that before. Vitamin C is dealing with collagen production, making sure you have enough collagen in the new bones. A deficiency in vitamin C can actually cause a deficiency in collagen, which causes the bones to become too brittle because they still have the calcium, but they don't have the actual enough fiber, enough of the collagen there to be structurally sound. Vitamin K is dealing with bone mineralization. We know that you must bring down all those minerals, the mineralization of the bone to create the matrix. The osseous tissue needs to have about 2/3 of it being the inorganic, which is minerals. And then vitamin D. We've already talked about vitamin D back in the integumentary system a little bit, because vitamin D can be absorbed through the skin via sunlight. But vitamin D is essential. It's very important because it deals with calcium absorption. When you ingest calcium, if you don't have enough vitamin D in your intestines, you can't efficiently absorb that calcium into your bloodstream. So you can have all the calcium in the world, but if you're vitamin D deficient, you simply can't absorb it and it's not going to be functional in your body. So vitamin D is kind of important, which is why we have this little diagram here. Sunlight to the skin. You can help, and that helps produce vitamin D precursors. But now, once vitamin D gets into the liver, in the liver, you end up with calcidiol. Now, this is the main circulating form of vitamin D. So it's going to be helping out from the liver. But in the kidneys, you have calcitriol being formed. Calcitriol is going to be the main active form of vitamin D. Both these together are throughout the body. But you're helping, again, to make sure the intestines absorb the calcium, to make sure you get enough into your system. But it all starts back with the sunlight. Sunlight exposure to the skin. Skin exposure means increasing vitamin D precursors. Now, yes, there is vitamin D in some of the foods you eat, but it's not a lot of food, so you gotta make sure you know what you're eating there. Great example is simply getting the sun. Makes it a lot easier. Calcium. We've been mentioning calcium because of vitamin D now, but also don't forget calcium itself is what makes up the structural foundation of the osseous tissue. It's what forms the calcium phosphate and the calcium carbonate for the hydroxyapatite crystals. That's the structural unit of the inorganic component of the matrix. But there's other parts that make calcium so important. Your bones also serve as a calcium reservoir. Kind of store excess calcium. Because calcium is also vitally important for nerve impulses. Your nervous system, think brain, spinal cord. The calcium is used there to help with the actual process of nerve conduction. Without calcium, the nerves can't fire properly, and therefore your nervous signals won't work properly. Also, muscle contraction. Same idea. Calcium is necessary in the muscles to allow for contraction. Without calcium in your skeletal muscles, as well as your smooth muscles, your cardiac muscle, your muscles cannot efficiently contract. So calcium is essential for muscle contraction. And then we have blood clotting. Calcium is used in the blood clotting cascade to make sure your body can help to stop blood loss. So just a little bit of importance to these things. Because if any of those three, nerve transmission, brain, if that's not working, muscle contraction, heart, if that's not working, blood clotting, if you get a cut and just keep bleeding, it doesn't stop, those can all be pretty severe. So calcium itself is used in a lot of ways, but it's also as a reservoir or a storage unit in the bones. Phosphorus. Calcium phosphate is kind of important in the bones. It makes up that hydroxyapatite crystals again. But also think DNA, RNA, ATP. All of those structures, your genetic code, DNA and RNA, has phosphate as a backbone in the structure, sugar phosphate backbone. In ATP, phosphate is what binds to create the high energy bonds. Break the bond, remove a phosphate, that's how you release energy from ATP. So phosphate, kind of important there. Phospholipids. Bilayer of phospholipids in your cells. Again, phosphate. So calcium, phosphate, two pretty important components so far that are found in bones, but also necessary throughout the rest of the system. Fluoride. You might be thinking, hold on, fluoride, that's teeth. Well, fluoride actually deals with the structural components of the bone a little bit. Helps to make sure the structure is strong enough, which makes sense because it's helping the structure of your teeth, making sure your teeth are strong enough. And magnesium. Now, magnesium is dealing with more of the balance of the osteoblast and osteoclast, making sure they're balancing out, they got a homeostatic balance. One's not working too fast compared to the other one in relation. So, magnesium. Just a couple things that are necessary for healthy bones. Any of these go out of balance, it can potentially cause problems in bone formation or bone remodeling, depending on what point of life you're in. So all these need to be maintained in homeostatic balances, which means healthy diets to help fuel healthy bones.